Hello.
Hello, everyone. Hi.
What's going on, party people?
Party people.
Do you remember when I used to say that when you were on my team? Do you remember? I
Yes,
was like, "Good
yes.
morning, party
Good
people,"
morning, party people.
and everyone was like,
Yeah.
"This is not a good morning," and please stop
No,
calling me
not
that.
at 7:45 for those team huddles. No, no, ma'am.
Oh, things we did in the pandemic.
Yeah,
Well, I guess
no.
we're still in the
Still,
pandemic,
well,
depending on who you
depending on
ask.
who you ask. If you ask the president, we're done. It's
Right.
over.
Right. I love it.
Yay. Well, I'm Kyle. I'm a tired therapist.
And I'm Jackie, and I'm a tired therapist.
And together we make two
Two tired
tired
therapists.
therapists. Oh, goodness.
I
What?
know.
It's fall, y'all.
It is fall,
It's
y'all.
fall, y'all. Let's talk about that.
Yes.
How do you feel about fall?
Love fall.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite.
Favorite season.
Yeah.
I purposely got married in this season.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes,
Okay.
I did.
So we have an anniversary to celebrate soon.
Yes. A couple of weeks.
Oh.
5 years.
Oh, wow. Gosh.
It's weird to think.
What's your secret, Jackie? What's the secret to a
Oh my
long-lasting
gosh.
relationship?
I would be really interested to hear producer Justin's
Oh,
thoughts on this.
yeah.
I honestly, it sounds so cliche, and I hate when other people say this, but it is very true. Is communication, like having really good communication. I hate because I'm like it's such a cop out answer, but it really is, and I think that, and I think laughing and having a good sense of humor about everything.
That's weird. I've never seen the two of you do that. That's so weird. Wow.
People are gonna listen to this and be like, "Is Jackie okay? Should we get
No,
her?"
she's not. The answer is no.
But yeah, 5 years.
Wow.
5 years this
Wow.
October. So
Wow.
yeah, it's, gross.
Well, yeah, gross. Well, even though this is a wonderful season, there are still things I think to be tired about.
Yes,
So
I'm ready for you.
Oh, you want me to go?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I wonder if you know where I'm going to go with this, but recently Disney announced the Little Mermaid live action, and spoiler alert, she is a person of color.
Yeah.
And there is a contingency of people who cannot cope. And it's really tired.
It's
really tired.
It is.
I saw someone post, it was like the Little Mermaid, but then they put next to it like it was like a fake movie poster, and it was for Martin Luther King, but it was like Tom Hanks is Martin Luther King. Mm-hmm. And they were comparing the two, and I was like, okay, Ariel is fake. Martin Luther King was real.
I can't.
So
I cannot.
I don't know what's going on there.
People get so, and I don't even want to say it's a lot of people. I don't think it's actually.
I think it's too many.
It's too many, but I think sometimes like I don't know. Who cares? I mean, like in some ways, I'm just like, who cares? Like this, I don't know. I don't get why people get so bent out of shape about this, but it's not very 2022 of them. But
it really isn't.
And I don't get what I mean, I do understand some of these people are racist, but
what?
I mean, I know it's a shocking, a controversially yet brave thing I am saying
brave,
on this podcast.
Very brave.
I don't get it, but I mean,
well, and it's like I love to watch have you seen the reactions of like the little black girls, little brown girls?
They're so cute.
I'm a mess when I watch them, so I'm like, why don't you want them to have that?
I don't know.
So it's tired. Let's stop that.
It is tired.
It's time to stop that.
It is tired.
It's fall. We don't do that.
Right.
We don't do that.
That's not a fall. That's not a fall feeling we have.
That is not a fall feeling. No.
Well, what I'm tired of is not fall centric, but I feel like is also a tired look for fall is, you know what I'm really tired of? I'm really tired of dudes telling women to smile. I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate it when it happens to me. It's been a minute because I never smile. But when I worked in the prison, you're gonna think I'm totally exaggerating. And
no, I don't. No, I'm already there.
I did not smile or laugh for almost 6 full months when I worked there because, like, sometimes it gets misconstrued, and I hate it. I would like walk past the finish and they'd be like, "Smile, smile, smile," and I would just stare at them. I wouldn't say anything. I would just stare like.
What do men get from that by saying, "Oh, you know, a smile will change your day"?
I have no idea why. I don't. It's so weird to tell somebody what to like. To me, it's so strange to tell somebody what to do, and to say smile. Well, what if that person, like, what if somebody in their family died? What if they're having a bad day? What if they just lost their job? What, like, why? I don't know why you would want to even open your mouth and say
Right, like, what are you?
smile.
Yeah, who does that? Who's benefiting from this? What
The
is?
man.
But what is he getting from it?
Because, women are hard and, it's just, they're terrible. And
Women are hard.
women are hard.
They don't come with a manual.
Right. And so
Yeah.
if I tell you to smile, that means, you've had a good day because I don't know.
Oh my
I don't know
God.
what guys think. This
Ugh.
is just what I think they think. But
Ugh. We should have one on the pod to interview.
oh,
Maybe that one from the TikTok or the TikToks we went
you
over.
think he would really come on this podcast?
Yeah. I don't know. He might.
Maybe
I'll
he
ask
would.
him.
Maybe
I'll
he
ask
would.
him. Men.
DM him.
Right.
Hello.
Hello.
You should smile.
We are a conservative podcast that wants to talk about why women are terrible.
Yeah.
Would you like to come on?
Yeah. But be warned, there's a woman on the show.
That's what she's
But
just.
you can yell at her.
Yeah, you can yell at her, and you can call her the F word.
Yeah.
And it'll
Friend?
be fine.
I think that female. I swear.
Female.
Yeah. That's
Still
right.
unclear. Still unclear.
Still very unclear.
Still unclear.
Interesting.
Speaking of men and how terrible they are,
Oh.
we are getting ready to get a blast from the past. We're taking it back to our first episode.
Yes, we are.
Where Jackie details me these dating shows,
Mm-hmm.
and I react to them.
Yes.
And I don't know what you're talking about today.
You have no idea. Actually, on my notes, I put Kyle's lack of knowledge of reality shows.
Great.
Is this
Great. Great.
is what we need to discuss. So
drag her. Slay her.
Well, and I don't know. I mean, I get it because it's not, I don't know. I wouldn't call myself a big reality TV watcher, but these shows that are just pure mess, I don't know. For some reason, it's like, I don't know, you disassociate and it's just.
You have to survive.
Well, and you just watch it and you're like, well, at least my life is not.
That's true.
Hot mess like some of these shows are. But this one, so Love is Blind. You've never seen it.
I've heard this is where they're in separate rooms.
Yes.
And they talk to each other.
Yes.
Through like a messaging.
Yes, I will explain sort of the premise.
Great,
We've got this, but yes, you are correct. That is the show.
Okay.
It is a Netflix show. So like Kyle said,
I already have a lot of problems.
Oh, just wait, because I'm gonna bring up.
Is this a new season?
So yes, well, it's not necessarily new. The second season came out. Oh my gosh. Maybe earlier this year. They just released After the Altar, where they kind of do like a couple episode follow up of all of them after they've been on the show
and broken up.
Yes, and so I just watched it the other day because in preparation for this because everybody cares, but I mean I don't even really care. I'm just talking about this. So it's mess. It's big mess.
I bet.
And spoiler alerts throughout. So if you haven't seen this and you want to, you probably should just turn it off now, watch it, and then come back to this. There's two seasons. So, like Kyle said, Love is Blind, reality dating show. It premiered in February of 2020, so right before the whole world went to shit. Everybody who's on that show, they're hoping to find love. So they choose men and women who are all from the same metropolitan area. So it's not like somebody from California, somebody from New York. They do choose. So the first season, I believe, was Atlanta, and then the second season was Chicago. Yeah. So they split them into two groups by gender. So we're very heteronormative on this one.
Go figure.
And they date each other, but they don't see each other, like you said. So like these dates take place in the pods. So it's like a room. They're both in a room, but it's like a window glass sort of pane thing that kind of is like, I don't want to say it's light up, but it has like different light up colors. So they're facing this pane and they can talk to each other. I assume there's microphones and speakers in these rooms because they are like, there's a couch way far back. So there's no way that they could hear each other.
I thought they were like Skyping without the video.
No, they're in these rooms. And I'm not exactly sure how they rotate and all of these things. Like I don't know if they all stay in the same room or they meet. Because when you see them kind of walking through, I think some of them have numbers on them. So like, and so when you first meet them, but they can't ask any questions about like what you look like. You can't answer any of those questions. It's literally talking to somebody you can't see. And so the whole premise is that, is love blind? Do you fall in love with somebody without seeing them? Can you do that? So these couples date for 10 days.
Oh my gosh.
So I'll say that one more time. 10 days.
Like one person for 10 days?
No, they date each other for 10 days. So they can have as many dates, but after the 10th day, that's when they have the option to propose to somebody. Sight unseen. They don't get to see him.
Propose marriage?
Yes. They propose marriage to the glass wall. and the other person's on the other side, which
I would like to go back and change what's tired. This is tired.
I feel like you would really enjoy watching some of those
Oh my
reactions.
gosh.
So once they get but if you meet like. Let's say you and I were on the show. We talked. We are probably soulmates, so we probably
right, somewhere
would
along
each other.
The line we have been.
But like after 3 days, if you were like Jackie is the one for me, you could propose to me on the third day. Like you don't have to wait the full 10 days. So some people do, and they don't really ever. For the most part, they don't indicate how long it is for some people. But like on the last day, they do on the show. They do say it's the last day for proposals.
So then if I did that, you would either say yes, and then we would meet.
You meet face to face at that point.
Or what if you said no? Then am I out and you keep going?
It's so awkward when they say no.
But it sounds wonderful.
You would love it. I feel like you would
like
this.
Watch. I think you might have to watch this. I'm warming up.
So so it's awkward because they do show a couple of the proposals, and you just cringe and I would be so grateful that the other person couldn't see me. I mean, some of them have really strange reactions.
Can you imagine? You'd be like, you can't see me, but you'd just
I would
be
literally,
like contorting.
I would roll off the couch, roll out of the door. You wouldn't even hear from me again. I couldn't even. But it's awkward, and I it's been a while since I've watched the first season, but I believe there is a couple of no's and or rejections from people because like at a certain point you get to know like one or like two or three people, and so you're kind of trying to choose, and that I will talk more about how that plays out later. But so once they get engaged, you meet face to face, and so you meet, but then you go back to your pods until after the 10th day. Okay. And then they go on a romantic getaway for like a week or so, I think. And this is where they're encouraged to like have sex and like because they're meeting, so they're kind of like explore your bond. But this is also a time when you're seeing somebody face to face, so it's interesting. So then after that trip, what happens is the couples move in together. They get like a neutral apartment and they move in together. And then they start meeting each other's parents. They do wedding planning. They do all of this stuff. And I think it's like at the end of 4 weeks that is the wedding. And so then at the wedding, at the altar, they either say I do or I do not. So they go through with full-blown weddings. Kyle, let that sink in.
In a month.
Yes.
1 month.
Yeah. So you've met so like on October 1st, for example, you meet this person by November 1st, you're getting married.
Right. And you've met their parents, you
meet their families, you do all of that. You talk about finances. I mean, it's a very speeded up version of life. So you at the wedding you say I do or you say no thanks, boo.
And do people say no thanks, boo?
Oh, they sure do. Oh, they sure do.
Oh my goodness.
So tell me what your thoughts are.
I have too many that
if you have questions, this is also
I do have questions. Sure. So I know beauty is objective.
Sure. They're all beautiful.
Or subjective.
They're all beautiful.
Okay, that was my question. So they're probably all gorgeous.
No one is hideous. It's
there's
very
no
upsetting.
There's no hunchback like.
When I watch it with producer Justin, I'm like, where are the I don't want to like average looking people. Like they all could be models.
No, I want the ugly people.
I know. They're all beautiful.
They're all beautiful.
They're all beautiful.
So
all beautiful.
So love is not blind.
Right.
Obviously.
Right.
Because that's what we're doing.
Right. Right.
So that was my first question. This just seems like heterosexual nonsense.
Yes,
it really does.
It is the straights doing
I feel
straight
like
things.
this does not do anything to, the divorce rate at 50%, right?
Well, and you know,
this doesn't seem to help.
I'm going to say something so controversially brave. You know, the gays are ruining marriage, but going on a TV show and marrying somebody you don't meet until you're engaged. I mean,
right.
That
seems like a red flag.
Sanctity of marriage right there.
Right. Well, and so maybe you'll tell me, but like, what kind of things do they talk about? Like during the date?
So
like, it's just like a date.
When they're still like in the pods?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty much, like, hey, tell me about your family. Like, what do you do for a living? Like, it's very much like what you would like talk to somebody about when you go on a date. Okay. They can't talk about their looks. They can't ask about their looks or anything like that. A lot of people like to talk about their trauma or some like big life event that makes me very uncomfortable. But I'm like, you also don't see the person. So sometimes there's like, like it's easier to say something when you can't see somebody face to face. I don't know.
But then how do you build trust? That's my question.
Well, Yeah, and I think a lot of that stuff comes after, like, once they meet and like they go on this getaway and they
Mm-hmm.
live together. I think some of that like develops a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I think there've been, and I'll talk about it later. There are several couplings that there was a third person in there. Like there were one
Oh.
man or woman was talking to two different people and like got proposed to by one and said no to the other, and that there's a lot of
Oh
consequences to
no.
that. So it's tough because it's like if you're talking to somebody very in depth, about
That's
your
true.
life, and then
Mm-hmm.
you say no to them or they don't propose to you, it does get very messy. It gets very messy.
Wow.
um
Oh boy.
so the other thing I have, do any issues
Yeah.
that you see,
A lot.
list them.
Well, like I said, how do you build trust? How do you truly? I know the
Right.
premise is that you go skin deep to get to know
Right.
someone.
Right.
Okay. Or I guess below skin deep to get to
Right.
know someone. However, I think physical attraction is a component of chemistry.
Yes.
That's just we are visual creatures. That's an unfortunate.
Well, and there's a little bit of that in the show too. Of people
Okay.
like, oh, I wouldn't normally, date somebody who looks like this, or like, hey, he doesn't look like what I thought he did. There is one where she meets her fiance in the first season, and she has to do shots because
Not good.
oh, it didn't turn out good. Spoiler alert. I hope I'm remembering it
Figures.
correctly, but spoiler alert, it of
But
course did not
like,
turn
I
out
feel
well.
like this is a great breeding ground for racism because people are because what happens is you are building in your brain as you're talking to this person. This is the problem with online dating
Yeah.
too, is that you're building a physical image in your brain
Mm-hmm.
because your brain is filling in missing pieces with desired characteristics,
Right, right,
and then you meet this person and
right,
they may be nothing like that.
right.
Or what happens, maybe the racism part, maybe that's a gay thing because the gays are always like, no blacks, no Asians and stuff. Maybe the straight people don't do that.
Well, there
But
in the first season there is an interracial couple, and they do talk about the woman is black, and she asks the man who's white. She's like, "Have you ever dated a black woman before?" And I believe that he had. So she was like, "Okay, so you kind of understand, what it's like to
but she
date
can't
somebody of
say I'm
color."
I'm black because wouldn't
Yeah,
that
I
be
don't I
saying
don't
her?
remember if she said she was or not, but she asked if he dated like outside of his race
Oh,
before.
I
And
see.
he and they're spoiler alert, they're the cutest
Well,
couple.
yeah.
And they are precious, and we
I
need
mean,
to protect them,
we're
but
pro interracial couples,
yeah, no, but
so
they actually have probably one of the most healthy seeming relationships I think I've
mm,
ever seen of like a celebrity couple. And I don't
mm,
know that I mean, I guess we call them celebrities. I don't know. They've been on reality TV. They've been on Netflix. So, but any other
yeah.
issues? I have another question for you before we kind of.
I'm just really curious to hear how some of these tragedies go because I feel like you're just
It's
it's either going to be really good or really bad. Like I think it's either going to work really well or it's not going to at all. I
I
feel like there's
agree.
no gray area when you do this.
Agree. No, I totally agree.
So
And
I
that's kind of
just
how it goes.
so I'm scared.
So think about this now. You don't have to answer this question because we'll talk about it at the end, but think about how you would treat a couple who came into counseling who met and married in this way. Think about it.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have to answer. If you have some
Okay.
initial thoughts, you are free to
Well,
answer them right now.
I would need to know what's going on. So
Right. So
maybe if you talk about some of the specific couples.
yes.
My
So
first thought goes to like communication
you and
and
I are soulmates.
like clearly you're not. I like. Are you communicating? Like
Yeah. Communication is a huge one. But let's take a break because I think the next section is going to be where you and I
yeah, I
have
need to
a.
prepare. I'm not
You
ready.
need to take a
I
moment,
need a
center
moment.
yourself, take a
Do
and
some meditation.
everybody probably should. if
Yes,
they haven't-
everyone prepare.
especially if they haven't seen this show. So we will.
We'll be right back.
Yep. We're back.
And we're back.
Are you ready for this, Kyle?
No, I'm not. I
Well,
mean,
you already guessed the first one, so you're on the right track.
oh, I did.
Yes.
Oh,
So
good.
I thought I would talk about maybe common fights and issues that come up
Ooh,
on this
okay.
show,
Mm-hmm.
and use some examples. So obviously you don't know who these people are, so I'm going to try to describe it as best I can
Okay.
because there's a lot going on. And the communication one I think is probably the most It's the number one thing
Yeah.
that comes up for
Yeah.
them. So obviously, when you have this kind of a quick timeline of dating, proposing, and
Mm-hmm.
potentially getting married,
Mm-hmm.
room for error is off the
Yeah,
charts. Let's just say
you're
that.
gonna miss a couple things.
So, several couples on this show, probably not surprisingly, really struggle with communication.
Wow.
So, the example that I have, probably the biggest um, moment on the whole, like in both seasons. So there's a man his name's Carlton in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't tell his fiance Diamond that he was bisexual.
Oh.
So he proposed to her in the pods. They had
Oops.
a really they had a really good relationship, and so he talks about it in the confessionals. And so when they go to I believe they go to Mexico, so they're already engaged. So they get to Mexico, and he decides he's going to tell her. Well,
Mm-hmm.
in this disclosure, he's had past relationships with men.
Sure.
Well, how do you think that conversation
Not
went? Right.
well.
It did not go well.
Not well.
Diamond was upset and I would be interested if you ever watch it to watch that scene and then you and I talk about it
Because
later.
she's homophobic.
Well, I don't think she is. She says she feels like he couldn't trust her with that information, and she's like, it's a lot to think about
Oh.
because like you didn't even like mention this to me
Yeah,
like
that's a yeah.
as a thing.
Yeah.
He gets angry also. Like they both get into this heated fight. They're at like the pool of this resort, and
Sure.
I laugh, and it's not really that funny, but they get into like a huge shouting match where like their relationship ends, and I'm pretty sure he throws the engagement ring in like the pool or something. He gets so angry, and then they're done because
Mm.
he thinks that she is like homophobic
Oh,
towards him.
okay.
And her confessional, if I remember correctly, she's like, I just feel like if you're going to marry me, you should tell me everything.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big
And so
thing.
I don't know. I personally did not get the sense that she was homophobic.
Yeah.
But I tried to put myself in her position. And I'm like, yeah, I would be upset too, because it's like, you're going to propose to me, but you can't tell me everything about you. I mean,
Right. Because
and
that's, again, the premise of the show
right,
that let's go, love is blind. So
right,
let's talk about these deep things.
right. So that, I mean, that's probably the biggest issue. Like that is probably the number one like communication
Mm-hmm.
breakdown. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's other ones too. It's, you bring in, you talk about family stuff, I get
Yeah.
along with my family, I don't get along, there's some of that too. In the first season too, there's some just in both seasons really. In the second season, I think there's a little bit more of like the miscommunication because spoiler alert, none of the couples from season 2 are together anymore,
Oh.
including the ones who got married at the end of it.
Hmm.
And I just think that there was just so much like miscommunication
Mm-hmm.
that it just
Yeah.
went south very
Yeah, you're
quickly.
gonna miss something. Even something that like seems like, I don't know, like finances. Like you're gonna miss something
Yes.
even if you talk about it.
Yes. And there was in season 2 one of the couples when they move in together they start talking about finances, and one is like a very conservative, she like saves and gives her money to investments
Mm-hmm.
and retirements, and the other guy's like, oh, I don't, who cares, like I don't
Right.
do that.
Right.
So yes, communication is probably the biggest,
Mm.
most problematic thing in
Mm-hmm.
this format. Any guesses on the second one? I'll tell you I have 3, so I just have 3 of them.
So one was communication.
Yes.
Like that was a big problem. You're talking like
Yeah,
big
these are
problems.
common fights or issues that come up on the show.
Um, I trust,
Uh,
kind
I'll
of.
give you. I'll like
I
give
would
you a
like
half
past
point.
relationships.
No, not so much that.
No. Hmm.
Number 2. You
That's
ready?
number 2.
Jealousy.
Oh, of course. But of
I'll
what?
get.
Oh, of like the dating
Yes,
around.
yes.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
So like I said, so they
Yeah.
talk to everybody. I mean, and it's funny because when they all meet together, when they get to Mexico, they meet all the other couples that are together. So like they've all talked to each other, so they kind of know each
Oh.
other. But when
And are
they,
some people like, darn,
but when they
because love is
date,
not blind.
right?
Mm.
So
Mm-mm. No, no, no.
this does create some really amazing reality TV drama because, oh my gosh, there's another one. It's also from the first season, but okay. So there are couples who end up together, but also they dated other people in the pods.
Mm-hmm.
So in the first season, Amber and Barnett, they're a couple. They end up together,
Okay.
but Barnett was also talking to pretty seriously with another woman named Jessica. Jessica was very confident that Barnett was going to propose to her,
Oh, no.
and he didn't.
Oh.
And he told her like, I don't remember if he had proposed to Amber yet or not, or if it was before he proposed to Amber, but he was like, sorry, like, I'm going to propose to somebody else. Jessica was devastated.
Uh-oh.
And this has long, and I'll explain, it has long, still probably to this day, repercussions of that. Oh, I'm not joking, Kyle. It's real.
What?
So Jessica was also dating a guy named Mark. And so Mark proposed to her. She wasn't as excited or thrilled about
About
Mark,
Marky Mark.
but she said yes,
Oh,
which I'm sure you can tell
no,
that.
no, 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 no.
So when
We
they
don't
all
settle.
right, so when they all met in person, there was like, and this happened more than one time. There was just kind of like, I don't want to, confrontation might be too strong, although I would say
Tension.
after they all were married and all of this stuff, there was a confrontation later, but
Mm.
Jessica continues to like kind of talk to Barnett and is like, are you really sure about Amber? You know, you talk to me. And she goes in these confessionals and she's just like, I don't understand. He talked to me very seriously, but he proposed to Amber, and it got ugly. I mean, it really got ugly to the point where I think like Amber and Barnett are like, we don't ever want to talk about her. We don't ever want to, like, don't even talk about her if we do an interview with
Oh
anybody,
my
because
gosh.
she does, and Jessica did get a little stage 5 clinger, a
Did she?
smidgen,
Did
yeah.
she?
And it was bad. In the second season, so there was,
Like outside of the
yeah,
show?
so when they met, like, Jessica went up to Barnett and was like, what up, dude? Like, why, why? And then they go through all these things together, like they have parties together, and like they just have these awkward moments, and then and they're after the altar special, like, the couples threw like a big anniversary party, and they invited all the other people from the show. And Jessica went, and she like tried to give Amber and Barnett like a gift, and I actually think she was trying to like kind of
Mm-hmm.
do an olive
Like it was
branch,
genuine.
and they both were like, "Get away from us!"
Oh wow.
And so that's why I say it's like still far
Mm-hmm.
reaching. Um, and Jessica and Mark obviously did not get married. It did not go well
Right.
for them. Um, and there's drama on that's different. Another podcast for another day
Another
of
time.
all the things that after. But in season 2, so there was another situation like this. So there was a couple that was Sean and Natalie, and then Sean and Shayna, which is very confusing. But Sean was talking to both Natalie and Shayna, and then he decided to propose to Natalie, which he did tell Shayna flat out, like, I'm going to propose to Natalie. Um, he was but I will say he was very superficial in his talks with Shayna, at least what they showed on the screen. I'm sure things are edited
Right,
in a
right,
certain
right.
way. And he would like ask her what she was wearing, and she'd be like, "Oh, I'm wearing a crop top," and so that
Oh
became
my
like kind of like an inside
god.
joke. And so he ended up proposing to Natalie, and then kind of told Shayna, this is what it is. Shayna was also talking to a guy named Kyle.
Oh.
Um, right. So Kyle did propose to Shayna, but Shayna had some reservations because, and this is kind of goes into the next sort of thing that I'm going to talk about, but there were some reservations. There was a major life domain that they couldn't agree on, but she decided to get engaged to Kyle. And so
Oh my
I will
gosh.
say, and I won't explain what happened, but Shayna and Sean did, you know, meet when they had a party at the beach in Chicago. Like, Shayna talked to him. And again, they're so far reaching of this drama of, like, Natalie alleges that Shayna got too close to Sean, and there was lots of, I don't know, texts and stuff that went between them when, like, Natalie and Sean were together and all sorts of stuff. So, and Natalie was upset that Shayna talked to Sean. I don't know, but like and I will say Sean in that moment with Shayna after they met in person actually did a pretty good job of like being like, no, I'm with Natalie, like,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But
Boundaries.
yes, he did. I when I watched it with producer Justin, I was like, he actually handled that really well. Like, for
Yeah.
a man, sometimes men don't
Well.
really do that well.
This is.
So,
Yeah.
sorry, but I mean that's so
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
jealousy
Jealousy. Well,
rears its
do
ugly
you
head.
do you in watching it, do you feel like when they meet, like, is love really blind, or do some of them go, you're actually fugly? I mean, none of them are fugly,
None of
but
them are ugly.
do they actually go, I'm not actually attracted to you, so we're done? Or do they look on someone who they
I,
denied and then go, oh, actually, you're really hot, and I want to be with you?
well, it's kind of a mixed bag. So some people say like they choose somebody who they wouldn't like physically doesn't really match their type, with whatever you want to call it, but their type, and they get along really well. And some of them, I think, I don't know that I don't think any of them are still together, but they do pretty well. And then there's others who are like, oh, this person,
Mm. Yeah.
like
Right.
no.
So right.
And so
Right.
I want to say if I remember correctly, I want to say that's how it was with Jessica and Mark. Like Mark wasn't like the type. I think he was a little bit shorter than her, and like she was. I don't remember what she
Oh.
described her type as, but he was like the total opposite of that. And not a bad looking guy, not not totally fugly, but I mean she was like, oh, this is not my type. If I remember correctly, she was like, he is not my type. And that also played into that because I'm pretty sure they didn't have sex for quite some time because she was like, I don't know about this because you're not really my type.
What did she think?
They did eventually have sex, but
What did she think was gonna happen? Did she think he would?
I
They matched.
I'm gonna say
Like,
something that hopefully none of the people who are on this show listen to this podcast. But
I
I
doubt
feel
they do.
I honestly, in some ways, feel like at the time Jessica accepted the proposal from Mark so she could meet Barnett in person.
Oh, tea.
And I think some of them, I don't think that was always the thought, but like there was another
Somewhere
in
deep
season 2
down.
there was another proposal from, and I can't, now that I'm thinking about and talking to you, I didn't even bring up this one, but in season 2 there was a guy named Jarrett. He was talking to Ayanna and a woman named Mallory, and he proposed to Mallory, and Mallory said no because she was getting really deep with another man. That was so heartbreaking of a proposal, like
Yeah.
literally heartbreaking. So Mallory accepted the proposal from the guy she was talking to. So then Jarrett went back and proposed to Ayanna.
Mm-hmm.
And when they all met in person, Jarrett and Mallory had this conversation. They were at this resort, drinks were flowing. It was very
Sure.
obvious that they
Oh,
both,
sure.
I don't want to say that they were full blown drunk, but they definitely were buzzed and or like
Right.
tipsy.
Right.
And the two of them had this chat, and it bordered on, in my opinion, on inappropriate. It didn't cross, in my opinion, didn't cross any terrible lines. But I mean, you can kind of tell that Ayanna was like second choice to Jarrett, because like when he met Mallory, he was like, "You're my type, you're everything," you know. And Ayanna is precious and cute, and everything. But there was a lot of, I mean, you could tell that there was just a second, Ayanna was the second choice on that one.
Messy.
So,
Messy.
but in the third one, I think is probably the biggest beyond communication. If you have any thoughts or guesses.
Let's see. What we talked about? Communication, jealousy. I don't know. I don't work with couples, so I'm not really good. I'm not.
I know. I'm like, we're doing this
I'm
episode.
like, what do they deal with?
I'm like, we're doing this episode and we do not work with couples at all.
I mean, sex,
I would put that in the column of this.
intimacy,
I would.
STDs.
That I wrote disagreements over major life domains.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
I keep saying this, but obviously when you're go from meeting somebody to marrying them in about 4-ish weeks, it's gonna be tough to get on the same page about major life domains. So finances, if you want kids, religion. Right. So my example, and I talked about it in the last one. So in season 2, Shayna gets proposed to by Kyle. But before he proposes to her, they talk, and they're talking about their belief system, and she says, "I'm a Christian." And she asks Kyle, "Are you religious?" And he goes, "No, I believe science."
Oh.
Which I mean, and she's like, "So you're not Christian?" And he's like, "No." And so they have this inner, like, this exchange about religion, and Shayna's kind of like, "I'm not really sure if this is going to work because like I want a man who is a Christian and who's going to lead me through God and all of that." I'll just stop there. I won't say anything offensive on this podcast about it. But she gets very I don't know. She gets very serious about that. Kyle proposes regardless.
See,
he's like, we can work through this. Like, I will respect your religion. Like, we can raise, if we have kids, we can raise them in the religion if that's important to you. Like, okay. I just want to be with you.
Okay, well, that makes me feel better.
And I think he was fairly genuine in this. Of course, so they go to Mexico and then they break up almost immediately. Shayna's like, "I can't do this," and she leaves
because of that.
Well, I think it's because of that, and I really think she wanted it to be. Oh, I think his name was Shane, but Sean, Shane, whatever. She wanted to be with Shane, the guy that she was talking to.
Oh.
And so it, but I think the religion thing was a huge factor. So they do show like later. So they leave, and then while all the other couples are still in Mexico or wherever they were, they follow them in Chicago, and Kyle goes to meet her family, and her family asks him, "Are you,
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they didn't ask it like this, but are you a God fearing man or
Right,
whatever they
right,
said?"
right.
And he's just like, "No, I'm atheist, but I'm willing to, do whatever it takes or whatever." And her family's like,
Oh no.
where's the crucifix? Like, we got to get him
Uh-oh.
out of
Get him
here.
out.
And they even they talk to the family, like they interview the family. The family's like, I don't know if he's like, that's the greatest thing to do because we're religious and we do all these things. So they break up and they kind of just fizzles out. But I mean, there are also
Mm-hmm.
other,
Mm-hmm.
not as serious as that, but like finances, like I said before, like Shane and Natalie, like they,
Mm-hmm.
disagree on how to do finances and
Yeah.
saving for retirement and all that stuff. But there, I mean, I see like it's kind of goes this way. Another kind of major life domain thing that affects after the show. Like I said, Jarrett and Ayana, they eventually get married. Spoiler alert. But Jarrett still goes out and parties every night till like 4 or 5, 6, 7 a.m.
Hmm.
So in the after the altar of the second season, that is still a huge issue in their
Well,
marriage, and they've been married
sure.
almost a year.
I was just thinking it
And
doesn't
he
even
like,
it's not even major life domains. It's just like
well,
that of
yeah,
like I'm a partier, you're not. Like I'm an introvert, you're not. Like I like to clean
right,
on Saturdays and you don't. Like that
right,
can
right.
really break a relationship
Oh yeah,
if you're
no,
not on the same page or flexible about these
well, and
things.
it does, and what happens is she in the after the altar she moves out
Mm.
because she'll be in their apartment or I mean she moved into his apartment, but she'll be there all night and he won't come home. And then he's like, "Well, I work a 9 to 5, and then I work as a security guard at a bar, and then I work as a bartender. I have like 3 jobs."
Is he really hot?
He's a good looking
I
guy.
probably wouldn't trust him.
Well, and that's the thing.
Maybe that's my
And then
problem though.
he's like, well, when I go out with my friends, one shot turns into 2 shots. Like it almost
Oh,
kind of, the way
no
they
no
kind
no
of
no
frame
no.
it makes it sound like maybe he's got some sort of like substance
Oh,
like use issue.
uh-oh.
I can't really tell if that is what it is,
Yeah.
but like
But
he's
it's a
like,
problem
but
nonetheless.
like when they go out to dinner with their parents, like, and they're trying to talk to him, and they're like you're a married man, like this doesn't mean you go at 7 a.m. I turned to Justin and I was like, you gone. Like I would
Yes.
not put up with that at
Well,
all.
so wait, was this the religious one too?
No, it's
These
a
are
different
different people?
couple. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
No, they all at some point have some disagreement about
Yeah.
something in life.
Right. Which
Um,
happens.
right. It
Right?
does.
Like that's reality is you are
Sure.
not going to find someone who you agree with 100%. Okay, maybe you will, but there's like a 1%
Maybe.
chance of that happening.
I could.
So, you have to decide in dating what is non-negotiable
Right. Right.
and then what is negotiable.
Right.
So with Flim Flam or whoever it was with religion,
Right.
he eventually
Kyle
was
and
like,
Shayna. Yeah.
oh, I should remember that. Kyle, he eventually said, "Look, it's not for me. I'm open. Let's compromise."
Right. Right. And it sounded like he was willing,
But she wasn't.
but
And
she wasn't.
and good for her.
And he and it,
Good for her.
and he like he tried and he was like, I think we could be really great. And she's like, it's
Yeah, that's
this
important.
is this is something that's a
Yep.
deal breaker for me. And he respected that and it
Yeah.
went fine.
Now, if it's something dumb like what's her face, who he was too short,
It was
get that
funny.
shit out of here.
No, it wasn't like that.
Get that out of there.
But so those are the top three things. There's many other
I'm
smaller
sure.
things,
I'm sure.
but those are the ones that I could think of examples for each one.
Yeah.
So if so, we got to talk about it. If we were going to do couples therapy with these people.
Okay.
Where
So
where
kind
would
of
you
like
go?
each one. So you might have to remind me. So communication.
Yes.
Well, I think I will just to what I just said of like I think before you communicate, and this is real talk.
Spill that tea.
This is real tea for what we call dating with a purpose. When you come
Yeah.
in my office, um,
I love it.
you have to figure your shit out first. I don't mean your depression, I don't mean that, but I mean who are you?
Right.
What do you value? What's important
Right.
to you? You got to date yourself first.
Yes.
And you got to know all of that. You got to know what do I want in a person?
Mhm.
What do I want in my relationship? What am I not going to put up with?
Yes.
And you got to be ready for that
Yes.
when you go out and
Yes.
start dating, because it helps you filter through it.
Yeah.
Right? If you say I don't want a man that isn't a Christian, and you come across a man that is an atheist, you say, "This has been a great date. Thank you very much. We're not going to
Bye.
work. Moving on."
Yes. I
So I
fully agree.
think, not to be a cliche, but the important part of communication is communicating with yourself first.
Well,
And that's the T.
that's the T, sis.
So I think that's where I would start, to have people say,
Yeah.
like, what are your values? Because, I do a little
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 act.
acceptance commitment therapy. So we would talk about our values, and we would
Right.
say, what do you value?
Right.
And what is that? How do you commit to that in your life? Okay, what do you value, other person? And how do you commit to that? Because we can value the same thing, right? Like
Yes.
you and I can value family,
Right.
but we're going to commit to that. We're going to live that out in different ways in our life.
Right. Right.
Right.
Yes, you're right.
Maybe exercise is a better one, better example.
Right.
Like, I like to do yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you don't.
No,
Maybe you don't.
I lift weights. I do.
Do you really?
Yes.
Oh my God. Oops. Here I am dragging you.
I know.
I'm like, do you?
You're like,
Are you sure?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, we commit to it
Yeah.
differently, but not one isn't right, one isn't wrong.
Right.
So you have to be
Exactly.
able to recognize in your partner too. I think that's what happens with couples as well. I always say, like, you're having the tuna salad argument. Have you heard this?
No.
And it's where couples will fight about, like, I do the dishes more, I take out the trash more. And it's called the tuna salad argument because that's like arguing how much mayonnaise goes in the tuna salad.
Yeah.
And the real answer is no one gives a shit because tuna salad's disgusting. But it's like you're arguing about
True.
something that is not,
Right. It's not.
that's not what you're arguing about.
Right.
You're arguing about unshared responsibility in the household. You're arguing about,
Yes.
I'm not a priority in your life. Like, there are
Right.
deeper meanings to that. So I think that's where people have to understand of, like, okay, you're both valuing the same thing, but you're just showing it in different ways. And so we need to get on the same page.
Yep. Agreed.
So that's what I would do.
Yeah. I don't have any experience with couples, and it doesn't sound like something I would do.
I don't either.
I think a lot of it, in my opinion, would be just doing that. Is like what is important to you. Thinking about what do you want your marriage to be like what is what is your personal goals, what are your goals
Yeah.
together. I think a lot of that would help some of these, especially when they disagree about life stuff.
Right.
It's like, well, I want to travel, or you may want to, I don't know, not travel. I mean, you kind of have to figure out the common
Right.
ground.
What's
of
the
that.
middle? Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So, and I think a big thing too is like how to fight fairly with each other
Ooh.
versus, and again, I don't do couples work at all.
I have a handout, fair fighting rules that I give out.
Well, and I think that would be, like you can't stonewall the other person.
Absolutely.
You can't. So I mean,
no,
I think
no.
I think teaching them how
Yeah.
to do fair
Communication,
fighting,
yes.
right, would be
I feel statements. Got to
yes.
get your I feel statements
Not
in there.
you piss me off. 'Cause
Right.
You do stupid shit. It's like
I feel angry.
when you don't take out the trash.
I feel burdened.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Absolutely.
So that's what we
Absolutely.
do.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, you have to find the compromise. And spoiler alert, co means two.
Right.
If it's not a compromise, it's a sacrifice. T.
I have nothing to add. That was perfect.
Maybe I should see couples.
Maybe you should. I don't know.
I
could
like to
listen
do
people like fighting.
I
all
like
day.
to. That's the thing. I like to do singular couples
Yeah.
therapy where it's just one person. I'm like, here. I'm gonna give you the skills, and you teach your
you
your
do
other
it.
half. You do that.
Well,
Yeah.
are you ready for Fetch or Flop? The
Oh
dating
sure.
edition?
Yeah.
Or maybe
Let's
the
do
love
it.
edition?
The love edition. Oh no.
Maybe not so much love. I named it dating edition.
Dating edition.
Fetch or flop. So
Okay.
fetch is we like, flop is we hate.
And I think we came up with
we did
fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's the middle.
Fine is the middle.
Yeah.
So first one, you ready?
Okay.
Online dating, fetch or flop.
I have to go with fine.
Okay.
Because
I would agree. Fine.
I think it's how you use it, right? It's kind of like
Correct.
social media in that,
Yes.
again, you can date with a purpose on these dating sites.
Mm-hmm.
So, but so I would say fine. It just depends how you're using it.
I agree.
It's not a fun experience. I'll give you that.
No. I think it's fine as well. I think, like you said, it depends on how you use it. if you're just looking to hook up, I mean, be honest, be upfront about that.
Yes,
That's fine. If
yes,
you're looking for something
yes.
serious, then, either say that
Communication.
or talk to the person that you're trying to
Communication.
talk
Yes,
to.
that's what I taught. Communication. If you're just looking to hook up, put that out
Right.
there.
I
Let
didn't
people
I didn't have a
know.
negative experience when I was on the online
Did
dating.
you? Is that how you and producer Justin met?
Yes, it is.
That's how I met mine as well. So it's not
Yeah,
bad.
it's not bad. It's just
Yeah.
okay, next one. Splitting the check on the first date. Fetch or flop.
Fetch.
I also agree
It's
fetch.
2022.
Yeah, it's fine.
We don't need this whole the man pays.
I think, in my opinion, when I was dating, not anymore. Wish. No, I'm just kidding. I wish. I
Allegedly.
would always offer. I would always say, "Do you want to split
Yeah,
it?"
I think. Yeah.
I always said that,
Yeah.
and most of the time, the person would say no or whatever. It was no big deal. But I agree.
Yeah.
It's a fetch.
I think
think
it's
you
fetch.
should. It doesn't. To me, it doesn't matter who invited who. You should always offer to pay
Oh,
or
that's
offer
too
to split
much.
it.
No, no, that's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Okay. We're good.
No, I like that. Or trade off, right? Like, oh, you pay this time and then I'll pay next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine too.
Yeah.
Okay, next one.
Mm-hmm.
Meeting up for a first date at a very late time of night.
Flop.
Flop. Flop Tina.
Flop tinta acularta. Absolutely not.
Absolutely flat.
Nope.
That was proposed to me when I was on the dating apps. I
No.
was speaking to a gentleman and he was like, "Hey, let's go see a movie at 11:30 at night." And I said, "That sounds like you're gonna fucking murder me."
No.
Hell no.
My first date with my current boo was over FaceTime.
At least you have the option to like hang up and it's not bad. Like
Yeah. Well, he was
I don't want to
texting
make.
other people at the same time, and I
Okay.
thought he didn't like me, but he did.
In some ways, I wished I was dating during the pandemic because I would have loved to just hit
Right.
an end button and be done.
Right. Well, but that's why we did it, is because he was working late, and he was like, "Do you want to go when I get off work at 8?" And I was like, "No,
Eh.
no, I don't.
Yes.
I'll be in bed. I will literally be getting into bed at
Yeah.
8 o'clock. So no, I don't
No,
want to do that."
I love it. Okay, and last one. Ready?
Mm.
A non-traditional first date, like a wine and painting class, laser tagging. I don't know, going to an arcade. I don't know what's like a non-traditional first date.
I would have to say
Your face.
I don't. Yeah.
I wish y'all could see Kyle's
I'm
face
sorry.
right now.
Yeah, maybe I'm a little.
You're like,
Well, I'm thinking fine because I think your first date you should be able to talk. So like
sure.
going to a movie, not a great first date. Doing like
No, yeah, I
laser
agree.
tag, I don't think that'd be a great first date because you can't talk to each other. So, like you should be talking, not
Sure.
shooting at each other. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Shooting laser beams at each other. So if it was something like the wine and canvas thing, that
Yeah.
would be great. So I'm gonna go with fine, just depending. I don't know. We need to do like a straight gay couple like thing because maybe that's a straight thing to do that. I don't think that would work for me. Maybe the second date.
I think it's fine. I think it just depends on what you do, like you said.
Yeah.
I will disclose that producer Justin and mine's first date was laser tag.
Oh.
So
Well, thanks
did
for
do
letting
that.
me drag you for like 5 minutes.
So I did
while
it.
I'm just
I'm
sitting
not
here.
gonna tell you. I was like, I
Wow.
will not tell Kyle. Yeah, no,
Wow.
Well, we didn't. That wasn't all that we did. We went out to dinner and we.
Okay,
when
that's fine.
We had dinner and we faced
That's
each other and
good.
we spoke, and then we went.
And
laser,
then you went.
And then
I
we
mean,
went,
that's fine.
And there were a bunch of little shit ass kids there, so we
Ew.
like teamed up and like started
Shot
like just.
them all. Yeah. That tracks.
If you didn't know we were talking about laser tagging, it would sound bad, but
That
it
tracks.
was so we did do that. That was really fun.
I think as long as you have that component where you can talk. But if it was just like,
Yeah.
let's go laser tagging, I'd be like,
No,
I don't think I would do it.
well,
one,
and I think before we went, there were how like all those places have like games, like you can like basketball. We
yeah.
played all those games and we're
Yeah.
talking. That's how at the time we found out that we have the same initials exactly, because we were playing a game.
Oh my God,
and
you do.
Yeah, and we were playing a game and. Justin went to go type in and he was like, "What are your initials?" And I told him what my initials were. I will not disclose that on the podcast. And I was like, "You're joking." And he was like, "No." And I asked him what his full name was and he told me and I said, "Those are also mine."
Wow.
And I thought maybe it was weird. But it was funny. So yeah, we
It
did
was
that.
meant to be.
Ugh.
Well, don't ask me because clearly it's worked for the two of you that are about to celebrate your 5-year anniversary. So
And we haven't gone laser tagging since, I don't think.
you should go this time.
That's not a bad idea. I would
Wow.
hope children were there so I could also shoot them with the laser beams.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's the Love is
Wow.
Blind.
I
Deep
feel like there
dive.
was so much we could still get into.
We could.
Maybe a part 2 at some point.
Yes.
Because I'm curious to hear, like,
I'd be curious for you to watch it and
yeah,
then
maybe
talk
that's
to
what I
me
need.
about
Maybe
it.
we need to like
And then we
do
could
a
do
recap
we could
episode
do
or
yes, a
something.
short little recap episode after Kyle's seen
Because
it.
I would love to just hear like what would get us to go on something like that. You know, like I don't know. I just have a lot of
You couldn't pay
questions. No, you couldn't pay me
me. You
either.
couldn't pay me either. But
Wow. Well,
that was the pod for
I'm
this time.
more tired somehow.
I think you'll be after you watch it. You'll probably
Yeah.
you'll need like you'll need
a
to take some
nap.
Tylenol and like
A Gaviscon
Yeah.
for my stomach. Yeah.
turn off your lights and just have like a
And
cold
just a
compress.
little lie down. Yeah. Oh, I've got the vapors. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Well, it's been great.
Yeah.
We'll catch you on the next episode
yep.
where we have something exciting planned.
Yes, we do.
And you're going to be excited. I think.
Yeah, I think they will be.
Ooh,
They'll
what is
find
it?
out.
What
I know
is
we're
it?
not
Oh,
gonna
no.
surprise. You just have to keep listening. Also,
Uh-oh.
shout out to anybody who is listening to us, and lots of people tell me they hear our podcast. Please rate us on whatever
Oh, yeah.
platform you listen. We don't have that many ratings.
Uh-oh.
No,
Do we have any?
we have I think 5 or 6 on
Are they
Apple
good?
Podcasts. There's no words, so
But are they 5 stars or like
Yes.
1 star?
We
Don't
have-
give us 1 stars.
we
no,
are
with
all
that.
5 stars,
Okay,
so we're
great.
clearly great.
Perfect.
If you want to write a nice review, we will not accept horrible ones, but if you want to write a nice review,
We might read them on the podcast.
We could.
Yeah.
we can shout you out.
Shout
But
out.
I've had multiple people to come to me this week and say they listened to the podcast. And
Wow.
I want to just tell everybody, please.
And we
rate
also
us.
want to become famous and quit our jobs. So
Sure,
if you could make that happen.
that'll be a happy accident as part of.
Yeah.
The people couldn't take us though long term.
That's
all of
true.
our opinions. So.
That's true.
but please rate us, and you can follow us on Instagram
Mm-hmm.
at Two Tired Therapists. We sometimes post.
Well, yeah. Sometimes we forget.
It's fine. We're doing great.
We're doing great.
Anyways.
All right.
All right,
Well,
people.
we'll see you next time.
Bye, party people.
Bye bye.